Hello, and welcome to Collect Jurassic World. I'm Victoria.
And this is Tim.
And we are your hosts on this adventure through all things Jurassic World.
That includes toys and collectibles, as well as movie, TV, and community updates.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the park is open.
Welcome back, everyone. We're thrilled to have you in the park again for another season of Collect Jurassic World. The weather's perfect, the gift shops restock, and we're ready to check out some all-new attractions here at the park. Kicking off with park announcements, why don't you tell us what you've been up to since the last season, Victoria?
Well, hey, Tim. The boat just pulled up here to the East Dock, so I'm just getting off and headed over to the command center. And yeah, things are looking really good. It's been a while since we've done this.
Yeah.
A lot has changed since the last time we had an episode of Collect Jurassic World, and literally the world has transformed.
Yeah, definitely the world has transformed. I think it goes without saying that in between our last episode and now, obviously, coronavirus, there's no getting around that. It's definitely had an impact on both of our lives, and as well as probably toy collecting in general. But what have you been doing since then?
Well, I've been trying to keep myself busy. I'm an educator, so school's closed back in March. So, I've been out of work since that time. But I've been focusing on everything else that I do. I mean, I keep busy. I keep busy with Cantina Chatter podcast. I keep busy with the YouTube channel. I've ramped up production on videos, which it's nice. I've had a little more time to focus on that, time to focus on reorganizing my collections. I just wrapped up season 3 of the Discoveryland podcast, which is my Disneyland history show. And I was supposed to go on vacation. I was supposed to go to Europe late April or early May. Obviously, that got canceled.
Yeah.
We're just making the best of it. Thankfully now, as you know, things are starting to reopen. Started going back to the gym a couple weeks ago. And,
nice. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm headed back into stores a little bit more. I'm taking care of, I'm always wearing my mask. I'm
Definitely.
always social distancing. I'm always trying to be safe and, hygienic. But things are starting to reopen, which is good. It's just a matter at this point of ensuring that everybody else is doing the same so that, we don't regress and go back into an even worse situation, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's awesome that you're able to keep so busy because that really has been the name of the game, probably for everybody listening, kind of staying busy in this sort of stressful, time of uncertainty. Certainly a few months ago, it was even more stressful and uncertain. So that's awesome. I mean, personally, I had no choice. My job got totally insane once everything kind of hit the fan. So I was super, super, super busy with that. Very, very busy. I had to work from home. My kids are here. You said, schools are closed. So, we had to kind of still kind of be a teacher for my oldest. So it was very, very intense the first couple months. I had a vacation canceled as well. We were supposed to go to Disney World in April. A total bummer, but obviously, wasn't a good time to go. So, I did a little bit of stress collecting in there. I bought some big purchases. I got this like massive vintage raptor statue, bought some stuff from Chronicle Collectibles, which was not my thing, but in the thick of it, I was like, I need something Jurassic and I need it to be big. And some other stuff I got too. But, lately I've just been really diving back into Collect Jurassic because like you said, people are trying to be careful about going out into stores and stuff. And I definitely felt like kind of in the thick of it, maintaining Collect Jurassic is like, a website where we were talking about toys and stores and stuff. It just felt kind of like not the right move. So I definitely kind of paused it a little bit for a while and wasn't reporting on, Snap Squads showing up in Target and a couple other things that happened kind of during that time, just because it just felt kind of wrong. So, but I've been really back into it lately, which I'm sure you've been able to tell. And obviously now we're back at the podcast, which to me is like, I know the world is still getting back to normal, but for me and what I like to do and toy collecting and Collect Jurassic, like us recording this podcast is like truly a sign of things kind of coming back into place,
Yeah, no, definitely. It feels good to be working on more content. I'm sure you've noticed as well. I've been ramping up on videos a little bit.
Yeah.
People need that. There's so many things going on in the world, and it's important to recognize those things. But also, as a creative person, I've always turned when I'm stressed out or when something's like bothering me, or, there's just situations like I've always looked towards toys. I've always looked towards entertainment, things that have, given me personal inspiration and joy. And
yes,
so being able to get back into that and share that with other people has been nice.
definitely. It's all about the balance of, taking things seriously, but also kind of, indulging, and for your own mental health, whether it's toy collecting or buying a $500 Raptor replica or something like that, whatever you need to do. So, hopefully us publishing this new season of Collect Jurassic World is that sort of distraction or indulgence for somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. In recent weeks, stores have been stocking up on Camp Cretaceous and Primal Attack toys, which are starting to hit retail as well as online.
Yeah, a ton of stuff actually. Especially after Toy Fair and all that. I think there was kind of a dead period where we didn't get a lot of new releases, which is fine. I think we all could have used a break, especially considering the circumstances of not being able to toy hunt. But yeah, tons of stuff hitting stores now. Like you said, Camp Cretaceous, so like Bumpy, that figure's hitting. There's some super awesome Super Colossal Indominus Rex is a good one. I know we're going to talk about the Epic Roaring Rex a lot more later in the show, because that's just kind of been a smash hit. And some other stuff like, have you seen the Sayats Mikorim? I hope I'm saying that right. Another one that hit. I don't think that's Camp Cretaceous, but another figure that a lot of people have been finding. So yeah, lots of stuff hitting shelves, and not just in the U.S. I think definitely in Australia and a couple places in Europe, and I think UK has got a lot of stuff. So it's kind of hitting everywhere. So if you're out there hunting, just be patient, because it's definitely kind of just hitting right now.
Yeah, all new stuff. And what else is hitting? So the new T-Rex, right? The Epic Roaring T-Rex is starting to appear at Target.
Yes.
The Super Colossal Indominus Rex is making its way out to Target. And
right. Seems like Target
well.
is kind of like the store in the U.S.
Yeah, and that's been the case, it seems like, for a bit now. I don't know about your area, Tim, but at least here in my immediate area, the Walmart stores don't carry Jurassic anymore.
No, they really don't. And I've been to we have Meijer here, which is kind of a bigger department store. It's regional. They carry it, but they don't have a lot of they definitely don't have any of this new stuff. So really it's Target. And then like online, I know that you could pre-order a lot of stuff from Entertainment Earth, but like the Primal Attack figures you can't get online. And there's figures that have hit elsewhere in the world that still haven't hit the US. So it's definitely kind of a developing situation as far as a toy launch goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So but I mean, it's a good sign. These were supposed to be released to coincide with Camp Cretaceous, and I think that's coming out in August, is it?
Yeah, that's kind of the release date we got from the junior novelization book, that listing that hits online said it was coming in August. So we're sticking to that, and it kind of makes sense these toys would be trickling out now towards the midpoint of summer. So I'm excited. I think not just with the Camp Cretaceous toys, but having more Primal Attack figures. It's just kind of like the last couple of years with Mattel, not just releasing a bunch of toys in the beginning of the year and taking a break. Like, stuff just keeps coming.
Yeah, it's really cool that stuff's hitting. I mean, we know the show isn't out yet, and there hasn't really been a whole lot of information on it recently. But the fact that the toys are hitting means that they weren't delayed. A lot of things have been delayed due to COVID-19, and the fact that the toys are coming and actually hitting a little bit early is a pretty cool thing.
That's a great point, actually. There was a time, kind of like, probably because I went to Toy Fair in February, and in March, when everything started to kind of ramp up with the shutdown, I was like, those toys aren't coming out now. Like, no way, no how. Because as you know, China was definitely sort of the first big outbreak, and it's like all these toys are manufactured there. I was like, there's no way that these toys we just saw are actually getting made. But here we are, in June, and they're hitting shelves. So yeah, that's a great point. That they actually did come out, which is awesome. And then another kind of toy that's not hitting but on the way, I think in July, which is pretty exciting, is the next Amber Collection wave. I think we were teased this a while ago that it would be Dennis Nedry and Dilophosaurus, but now we know what they look like because they were put up on Entertainment Earth as well as a couple other websites. And it looks awesome. I have my set pre-ordered, or sets, shall I say. How about you?
Yeah, no, these are really exciting. It's been a while since these were announced. Right? I think Entertainment Earth is the first company that teased them sometime back, and they just released like the silhouettes, right, of the figures, but they didn't.
Right. It was obvious, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it was a bit of a surprise because we haven't really had a lot of information on the Amber collection lately.
Right.
Those were the last things that they've teased, but it hasn't been a consistent line. It's just kind of like they're dripping out figures every now and then. Just a few coming out that are trickling out. But so it was really exciting to see these, and exciting to know that the line's not completely dead because
Right.
Nedry and Dilophosaurus are on the way. And yeah, I too got my orders in for these two figures, and yeah, I'm absolutely stoked.
Yeah, and like you said, there hasn't been a lot of information on Amber Collection. I feel like a lot of the stuff kind of has come out with a little fanfare. Blue and Owen just sort of popped up one day, and then Charlie, the Velociraptor Charlie, has been like a whole other kind of weird collectible where
Yeah.
it was like on some websites and then not, and then hard to find, and then
Right.
back on websites. So it's kind of been weird and sort of, I dare I say, concerning. But kind of seeing the Nedry and Dilophosaur announcement hit with a little bit more thought behind it, and then the pre-orders opening up, it makes me feel like maybe there's a little bit more strategy here, and the Amber collection is still going strong and will hopefully keep going strong. I'm excited for like Jurassic Park characters. I mean, Owen and Blue were very nice. I mean, the Blue figures incredible, but I'm excited to get back to Jurassic Park. That Dilophosaurus figure just looks awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. I can't wait for Dr. Sattler, of course, and Hammond, and all that stuff. And
Yeah. And I
yeah.
think that's what everyone is like saying, like, where's Ellie, where's Alan? That's what we really want. And Nedry's kind of a funny, next character to tackle.
Right.
And it would just be so tragic if this line fizzled out before we got to those key characters. So I really, really am optimistic that they're right around the corner. And Nedry was just sort of a kind of a shoe-in with Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely makes sense. But hopefully before long we'll get some more announcements. Maybe in lieu of Comic-Con happening, which obviously has been canceled this year, postponed until next year.
Right.
We'll get some announcements made like online or through some other outlet, which would be really
Yeah.
cool to see.
I mean, if you think about Mattel and Jurassic World, they've consistently used San Diego Comic-Con to give us updates on Amber Collection. So that's actually probably a pretty safe bet. Obviously, San Diego Comic-Con is like sort of virtual this year, a little bit different with everything going on. So yeah, let's hope we hear about some of our favorite Jurassic Park characters, and kind of segueing into our next asset that we're tracking here. San Diego Comic-Con, Dennis Nedry, goes without saying, we got to cover it on the show. This convention exclusive 3 3/4 Dennis Nedry that came in this like Barbasol can that doubles as a display case. It lights up. It says lines from the movie. It's almost too cool to describe just with a quick little rundown. It's just a very, very cool release that was meant for San Diego Comic-Con. Obviously, that's not happening. So it's been so far been made available for limited pre-orders on Entertainment Earth. I think that happened like a couple days ago.
Yeah, a couple of two days ago.
Yeah, and like they sold out like instantly, which is pretty exciting for any Jurassic release to get that sort of like
Yes.
I call this success. I know that a lot of people weren't able to pre-order it because it did sell out so fast, but it's kind of a good sign for the popularity of Jurassic toys, and it's a 3 3/4 Nedry. I mean, how awesome is that?
Yeah, no, the website was slammed. Servers were, the site was going super, super slow. And, yeah, I know a lot of people were upset about that. But, at the same time, it's not often that Entertainment Earth throws these kinds of exclusives up. So
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense for them to have some super fancy server that's going to be 100% of the time when they only need it for
Yeah, one
tiny,
launch
tiny
or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I can give them a pass on that. I think if you were there right at the beginning, you kept trying. Hopefully you got lucky. It took a while, but I was able to get in,
Yeah.
and I know you were able to get in. So,
Yeah. I was actually, I think they went live like 4 minutes before, I think my time, 11 a.m. So like I checked out like no problem. But then everybody kind of got on all at once, and it slowed down. But like you said, that they're not like this Amazon state of the art commerce website, so they got through it. And I just keep telling people, like, this is cheaper and easier than getting to San Diego Comic-Con. This is a great way to track this figure down. So
it is.
Yeah, super exciting. So yeah, there was like a video that's out there that you can actually see a preview of the actual the Barbasol can in motion with the sound effects and everything. I haven't watched it, but you have. Kind of, what are your impressions of this release?
Oh man, I was already over the moon about this. Just seeing the pictures, but then when I watched this video, man, I am so excited for this figure. But I'm 100%, if I can't get a second one, I'm keeping it in the packaging, because just the way that they presented in that video, it's absolutely 100% ingrained into the packaging, just all the features that it has. I mean,
it's a great piece of storytelling, honestly. It's kind of all connected, because when I first saw the figure, the pictures I first laid eyes on them, I just saw the figure and I was like, wow, they picked Nedry in the Hawaiian shirt, like the cafe scene. That's kind of a strange moment, when we're talking about dinosaurs and humans and Jurassic Park and toys. But then when you kind of it's got layers, you kind of see oh, he comes with the bag of money that Dodson gives him. He comes with the Barbasol can, of course. But he comes with the pie that he puts the shaving cream on. It's so perfect. Yeah. And then you get this can that says lines from that scene, among other lines in the movie. But it's all just so perfect. Tons of love went into it, obviously.
Oh yeah, totally. And we didn't even know that he was wearing denim and sandals in that scene.
Yeah, that's the biggest revelation. I know.
I wonder if Mattel did that, or if that was actually what he wore, and it was just revealed through this toy.
No, I think people have noticed now, I can see it now. He's wearing socks and sandals. It's so funny. It's just such a, like I said, just so much love and obvious thought went into this sort of exclusive set. So no wonder it's so popular, because it's a work of art. And like you said, if I'm only able to get one, I'm going to keep it in the box. But would be really nice to get one loose so I could take some toy photography with him too.
Absolutely. And I do got to say that there've really only been two, in my opinion, collector level collectibles in this entire Mattel Jurassic line. I mean, there's quite a few toys that
are rare.
Are rare. Yeah, there's things that are genuinely rare and are worth a good amount of money on the third market on the second.
Yeah, we don't want to go to the third market. That's where things get real expensive.
No, we don't. On the secondary market. So, eBay and such, I'm thinking of things like the two Spinosaurs, things like the Lockwood play set.
Just flukes that for some reason are super hard to get. Yeah.
Some of the Destructosaur stuff. But this, legitimately, this and the Hammond exclusive from last year, these are collectibles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a serious collector, I know me and you are. I mean, obviously, we're running a podcast about this stuff, so we're pretty serious. So
we're pretty deep in.
Yeah, we we're gonna have these, and we're excited. So I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be excited. I gotta say special thanks to our mutual friend Greg, who, I didn't even know about this. It wasn't announced until a few hours beforehand. I'm here on the West Coast, so I didn't catch wind of it until a few minutes before, and that's only because Greg texted me, and the text woke me up, and otherwise I would have missed it. So thank you, Greg.
A lot of people did. A lot of people did. So that's good that Greg did. I feel like a bad friend now for not telling you, but I was a little busy trying to cover it myself, but I totally should have. But no, a lot of people I've seen have been like, oh man, I slept through this, or I was on the other side of the world. It was the middle of the night. So literally announced, I'm speaking in Central Time because that's where I am. It was announced at 7 a.m. and then at 11 a.m. it went for pre-order, and then by noon it was sold out. So it all happened super fast. But again, it's incredible looking. I think, talking about Hammond, I love Hammond. I love that whole set, but this one is on another level. It's just so awesome and cheaper somehow. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, that I don't get either.
But yeah, super cool. I think, we promised not to go on any tangents, but we really should give our spiel about exclusives and this Nedry figures. This isn't the last we're going to see of it.
It's not the last we're going to see of it. One of the things that happened in the lead up to the Hammond figure actually coming out at Comic-Con, and then the pre-orders being fulfilled, a month later, a lot of people were concerned that they weren't going to be able to get their hands on Hammond. And thankfully, Entertainment Earth, as you recall, did receive an allotment of them afterward, and were able to, most people that wanted Hammond were able to get him eventually.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem came with Mattel not being explicit with how it was going to be released. That maybe created a lot of the concern, but this time that's been preempted to some extent, because it looks like they've indicated that there will be another allotment coming somehow at some point, yet to be announced.
Right. Yeah. So I got a little bit of details on that, and you can definitely really read up about it on collectjurassic.com. But of course, the Entertainment Earth pre-orders sold out. We can probably expect a few here and there to show back up at Entertainment Earth in non-mint condition, because that's what happened with Hammond. A couple items maybe got crushed in shipping to the warehouse. They're not comfortable shipping those out, but they're comfortable selling them at a reduced price because they're damaged. So that could certainly happen. But this time around, Mattel has kind of done right by the fans and let us know, hey, also Mattel Creations, which is a website run by Mattel, they used it during Toy Fair to kind of launch the Tesla Cybertruck RC they were making. It was kind of a big PR thing. So they're kind of reusing that website again. They said, keep an eye on that website. Keep an eye on the Twitter for Mattel Creations. There'll be more information about more pre-orders for Dennis Nedry in July. So definitely check that out. And also Barbasol, the official shaving cream, their Twitter social media kind of hinted at a giveaway as well. So at least a couple more possible ways you could get it, either that pre-order from Mattel Creations or just winning it, so.
Yeah. And regarding Hammond, we know from images that have recently leaked that he's going to be coming back into Legacy Collection, and that, really cool looking multi-pack with Dr. Sattler and the two Raptors.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about that a little bit more for sure. But like you said, he's coming back. He was an exclusive, but he's coming back as a wide release. So the same will happen with Nedry. So if you're not hung up on getting the Barbasol can or the accessories, and you really just want a Nedry figure, and you're frustrated that this is sort of a whole ordeal, he'll be back in some way, shape, or form.
And like we said last year, when I think I had written an article in the lead up to Hammond's release, that you got to remember that these convention exclusives, it's par for the course for toy companies and collectibles companies to release things early at conventions. A little incentive for people that are, traveling across the country or across the world and waiting in these long lines. It's a little incentive for them to be able to get something special to commemorate their visit to the convention. So, I mean, this isn't, something that only Mattel does. It's not something that only happens with Jurassic. This is kind of, just the way it's gone for many years. Yeah. But luckily, more often than not, these things do come around. And again, like we saw with Hammond, he came back and seems to be coming back again. I have no doubt that it's not going to happen also with Nedry. So, if you're concerned about that, just hang in there. It'll happen.
I don't think he'll come with the pie again. I think that's a very deep cut accessory, but I'm sure he'll be back with his sandals and socks at some point.
And hopefully the Barbasol can at the very least.
Yeah, totally.
Next thing we want to talk about isn't really Jurassic World related. I mean, it is by association, but we're talking about the Big Bad Toy Store pre-orders for the Nanmu Studio Dinosaurs, which, Tim, you've seen these. Mm-hmm. These are, for all intents and purposes, Jurassic Park and Jurassic World dinosaurs.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I know we talk about Rebor, is that how you say it on the show sometimes? And that stuff is kind of in the same vein. It's clearly inspired by it. And these are almost even on another level than that as far as accuracy to the film goes.
Yeah, these so here's the thing. So there's kind of two extremes on the scale when it comes to Jurassic toys right now. Other companies have a pretty good range of product, like Star Wars, Marvel. There's kind of all price points to cater to different segments of the collector audience. So with Jurassic, we don't really have that so much. We have, the Mattel stuff, which is more the entry level stuff, the stuff that kids buy, the stuff that the old timers like us that are nostalgic for the old stuff from the 90s buy. And then you have stuff that the more serious, collector that maybe isn't interested in toys but wants something higher end to put on their shelf. They go for the Chronicle Collectibles pieces that are hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
What I like about these, I know they're not official, but Jurassic is lacking in more of a middle price point type product that offers something that is very detailed, maybe not quite to the extent of a Chronicle Collectibles type piece, but definitely more so than, like a Mattel toy. So I think that's where something like this certainly comes in handy. And the price points on these range from anywhere from around $50 up to around $70. So, and they're really starting it with a bang, right? They're not starting with just like one or two dinosaurs. There's quite a few.
Yeah, I do think these have been out for a while, though, right? I think you could order a lot of these from directly from
overseas,
Japan, maybe for a while. So they've kind of built it up. Because I think their first release was maybe like a Carnotaur and Sinoceratops or something. I don't know exactly. I just know that I've seen them, over the past year at least. But now they're getting this sort of stateside release. They're probably way more reasonable versus like importing them. Because, these prices, like you said, I didn't even think about it that way. It's a great middle ground between like Chronicle and Iron and all those like super high end stuff that I don't usually touch unless I'm in the middle of a pandemic and I want to stress buy something. And also they're not a $10 plastic toy with, two colors of paint on them. Like, they're definitely a great middle ground and they look awesome. I mean, it's not like they are basically Jurassic, but like their eyes are different or they did something, small. Like, no, these are straight up Jurassic dinosaur designs. I mean, the Sinoceratops looks excellent. The Carnotaurus looks great. They have Mosasaurus, Spinosaurus. They got a ton of stuff here. So, and all at, fairly decent prices.
Yeah, and none of them are labeled as Jurassic World. They are called the Jurassic Series. But, obviously, no, they don't want any copyright infringement issues. But for whatever reason, these companies have been able to get away with, just like straight up like adapting the likenesses to their toys. I don't know what it is, but Rebor's done it for a long time. Papo's done it for a really long time. I think their first T-Rex was like 2005 and they're still making them. So,
right.
No, these are great. Like the Mosasaurus, that's like straight out of Jurassic World. The Spinosaurus looks incredible.
I love these raptors though. So it's called the tactical team instead of the Raptor Squad, and they have names Diana, Edgar, Caesar, and Baldwin for Delta, Echo, Charlie, and Blue. That's hilarious. Baldwin for Blue, I like it.
Edgar.
But the figures look awesome though. I mean, regardless of the kind of almost their names. I mean, these look great.
They do. These are little though, like the Raptors.
Yeah, 1/35th scale. Yeah.
Yeah, it says 1.57 inches tall, like 1.5 inches tall. These are gonna be itty bitty. But what's cool though, Tim, is that these are like scaled with one another. It seems like so. You're not gonna have like with Rebor. A lot of the time, like they have scales, but they can't make everything in one scale. So some things are like 1/35th, some things are 1/18th. Yeah. It looks like these are all scaled to 1/35th scale. Yeah. So you're going to have like your Raptors will be in scale with the T-Rex, your Ankylosaurus will be in scale with your Apatosaurus. So, it's all going to be the same scale. And that's going to be pretty cool. Like if you want to create a little diorama with all these Jurassic style dinosaurs, I think it's going to look really awesome. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It looks cool. It looks like they have like two different colors of Ankylosaurus too. Maybe a little Jurassic Park 3 hint there. Very cool. So yeah, I think we'll definitely put a link to these pre-orders in the show notes because it is on Big Bad Toy Store. I don't think anywhere else is offering these for US release. So pretty exciting stuff. Moving further into the park, let's go ahead and check out some new upcoming exhibits. Super exciting stuff. I think we hinted at it a little bit earlier on the show, but with Hammond, the SDCC exclusive figure last year, is finally getting a wider release, and it's part of a very cool set called the Escape from Isla Nublar Legacy Collection set, hitting Target stores in the US in the next couple months. We got John Hammond. We got Ellie Sattler, which wasn't a figure that was, super well distributed versus Alan Grant and Robert Muldoon. So that's cool. But it also comes with 2 attack pack raptors that are painted pretty spot on for figures of this price point, to the raptors in the first movie, and we have that When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth fabric banner that's included in this set. It looks awesome.
It does. And, this is kind of the first time that we actually get that banner in an official toy line. So
I know.
After all this time. This set looks fabulous. The figures, I'm surprised that we haven't gotten raptors that look this film accurate yet in terms of Jurassic Park raptors.
Yeah.
I kind of feel on some level they even look more accurate than the Amber Collection Velociraptor.
Yeah, I think so. I think it has to do with, this is just my opinion. The Amber Collection have big, giant teeth, and something about the way that these scale down at the attack pack level feels a little bit more proportionate. So I definitely am digging these more than any other Raptor Mattel's come out with. Super excited. But yeah, the banner is just kind of an intriguing inclusion because it's not a, plastic accessory. It's not, it's not, we haven't had anything like this fabric thing. It's got little strings so the characters can hold it, or you can tie it up, above your collection. Very interesting, and similar to Nedry with the Barbasol can, some thought went into this, some love went into this to kind of make that a reality, this banner from the end of the movie. Yeah,
and no, it looks great. Packaging, everything about it looks fantastic. And I'm excited that they included Ellie, because we've gotten Ellie and Hammond before, but this is how they're getting Hammond back out there. But it's cool that it has Ellie this time, because they could have packed in Malcolm or
right,
one of the other figures. But it has
right,
Ellie,
one of the figures that we were drowning in. The Alan Grants were everywhere in Target. And same with Muldoon. It's there was just so many of them, and I think Ellie was one of the figures that was harder to find. At least, in my experience, it was definitely harder to find. So, it makes
especially
sense,
early on.
Yeah, it makes sense that they are including her here. And yeah, Hammond comes with his cane, but he doesn't come with the little Raptor incubator accessory that he came with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, which makes sense. You got to have something special for that release, and I don't think it's missed here exactly. It wouldn't really fit with the set even. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is one that you might, if you want to have all 3 of the Raptors, you might need to get more than one set. Oh yeah, I think both of us here will be getting at least more than one set. So that was my first thought, is if I want 3 Raptors, I'm going to need to buy 2 of these sets, so I can do that. So yeah, like you said, the packaging looks really cool too. I totally dig it. It's sort of a mix between Primal Attack packaging, which I can't get enough of, with some Legacy Collection branding. So, and this set is $20, which is, again, super affordable. So, pretty exciting. I do hope it gets a wider release internationally, but definitely hitting Target. I think I was told late July or August. Yeah, that's awesome. So not too far away. No. And, I think we can say that, they're not the fanciest Raptors in this particular pack, but I think we can say, right, that it has the boob grabber and the crotch biter. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the official Mattel term for those. Yes. The boob grabber and the... Yeah, I would have loved to see the... what do we call it? The Savage Strike, the new Savage Strike Velociraptor with the slashing claws. That would have been a cool one to get this paint treatment. But yeah, the attack pack figures are okay. I like that they gave us 2 different sculpts, because it would have been a little hokey to give us the same exact attack pack raptor twice. Yeah. Yeah, so cool stuff. And like you said, right around the corner. So looking forward to that. All right, so this is a much more recent development. We actually just caught wind of this prior to recording. Yeah. So on Facebook, in their routine live stream, Chronicle Collectibles announced that they have something new that they are doing for Jurassic. And essentially, this is going to be it's coming to Kickstarter. And these are going to be 1/12 scale Jurassic World articulated figures. They're saying on their webpage that these are true 1/12 scale. And I'll just read what that means here. True scale figures are designed to be as close to their on-screen counterpart in height and proportions as we can make them, meaning these collectibles are true to the character. Collectors can rest assured that when Dr. Alan Grant is displayed next to Dr. Ian Malcolm, that our favorite chaotician will indeed be taller. So... Kickstarter. This is something we're seeing more and more with big companies. McFarlane just did one. Hasbro did one, or has done a couple, or a few actually.
The sail barge was the first one that they did a couple years back, which I own and is fabulous.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're seeing it with Chronicle, and to me that says that if they're starting with a Kickstarter, it means that they're not 100% confident in this sort of format. So by doing a Kickstarter, they can kind of see what the market demand is for this sort of product. And if it's successful, maybe next time they decide to release something like this, they won't have to do Kickstarter for it.
Yeah, and I think Chronicle, has a pretty decent track record with Jurassic collecting. Obviously, I know there's been a couple controversial releases as far as like paint quality goes, but I think since then they've come out with some really nice stuff. I'm looking forward to a couple of their upcoming releases, like their 1/6 scale Raptor was one of the things I stress bought in the past couple months, but it looks awesome. I saw it at Toy Fair in person, and it looks incredible. Yeah. And this 1/12 scale figure, I mean, I think we're going to get a lot more information pretty soon here about this kind of new line that they're going to put on Kickstarter. But they do have a picture of Blue here. It looks pretty good. I mean, obviously, we were looking at one picture, so we can't really get a full idea. Well, I guess there's a close-up of the face too, so we can't really get a full idea. But I'm really interested to see what that Kickstarter has, because I think of Beast of the Mesozoic, which we've talked about here, and like, the core Kickstarter was exciting, but as they kind of got more and more funding and unlocked more and more stretch goals, you see more and more like figures sort of get funded and come to life. So I think that's what I'm most excited about, is like what else they have up their sleeve for Kickstarter for this 1/12 scale stuff.
Right. It's probably not going to just be Blue. I mean, they don't even mention Blue. They just have a couple of pictures of her here. But I imagine that, it's probably going to incorporate more characters, more product. And, like you said, we'll learn more, in time. But I kind of feel like this is going to be something like the, it's not going to be something that caters to somebody collecting Marvel Legends or Black Series, $20 figures. I think these are going to be more in line. I think they're going for something like what what Mezco does. So Mezco does also 1/12 scale 6-inch figures. They primarily do superheroes, but they've also done things like Ghostbusters. And it seems like they're kind of going to be going for that sort of market. It's not the $20 price point. Mezco usually is anywhere from like $80 to $100. Yeah. I imagine that, something like this would probably be in line with that sort of a price point, especially when you're considering, humans. If it's dinosaurs that are a little bigger, could be more. So
yeah.
We'll
and didn't we
out.
hear that Chronicle had the license for Jurassic for over $200?
I don't know that that's been officially spoken to, but yeah, that's been the rumor that's gone around for some time now. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah,
I mean, these, again, just a couple pictures on here. It definitely looks like a at least $100 figure. It looks very, very detailed. And I think it's kind of worth mentioning that in this press release, this kind of preview article they have, they mention the Jurassic World, articulated dinosaurs and characters from Jurassic World. So they say that a few different times, but the actual page name is Jurassic Park 1/12 scale. And then again, that little descriptor you read when we started talking about these mentions specifically Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm. And those could just be examples, but me personally, I'm intrigued that it's Jurassic World, but if they do Jurassic Park figures in this line, I'm all in. I'm totally all in, even if they're $200. I think that this is sort of, again, kind of a little bit of a medium point between super high-end collectibles and just toys. And they're small. I mean, they're relatively small. It's not some big, giant honking statue. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, no, this will be cool. I mean, I've always said that the more Jurassic product out there, the better. When Amber Collection was released, some people had concerns that, it was going to spell doom for the 3 3/4 inch line, which obviously never happened. But I think what was good about it is that it invited people that don't traditionally buy Jurassic Park, but are 6-inch collectors to come in and, get them buying Jurassic toys too. And I think the more people buying Jurassic, the better for the health of the line, for the longevity of the line. Yeah. And if you're catering to yet another market that doesn't traditionally buy Jurassic toys, but might have an outlet for which they can, get into it. I think that's only a good thing. So I'm really excited to see how this pans out.
Yeah, totally. And again, the Kickstarter, it looks like they don't know when it's sometime during the summer. So we'll just wait and see what more information they have. But yeah, exciting stuff. And like you said, the more Jurassic, the better.
All right, so as we take a visit over into the trophy room to see what's been entering our collections in these recent, very strange months, we'll find out a little bit about what Jurassic products have entered our homes, as well as other things that aren't related to Jurassic. So, Tim, what's going on in your trophy room?
Yeah. I mean, it's been quite a long time since we've talked about our sort of acquisitions, since, we're having a new season here and it's been a few months, but definitely brought a lot of stuff into my little collecting room here. I mentioned a couple stress buys on the show already. But I've been tracking down some of the harder to find Jurassic stuff. That there's some Savage Strike figures like the Postosuchus that have been hard to find, but I was able to grab a couple from a friend in New Zealand, which was awesome. Some new Battle Damage figures that were a little bit harder to find. I got those from our good friend Tom in the UK. Shout out to Tom. So, just a couple things here and there I was able to grab. I'm trying to rack in my brain. I know I bought more than that, but yeah, I mean, I think there's just been a lot of stuff. Edmontosaurus, just a lot of just random one-off Jurassic releases that have come out that we've all been tracking down. But yeah, what have you found so far?
In terms of Jurassic, not a ton. One of the notable things I did get, though, with your help and Tom's help, was the battle damage dinosaurs from the UK, the ones that didn't hit the US. So I think that was the gray raptor, the yellow triceratops. What else was in that wave?
I have them right in front of me here. The Gasosaurus. Interesting little one.
Yeah, that little guy. So I got those. And let's see, what else did I get for Jurassic? Amber Collection. I think I got Charlie at some point.
Yeah, Charlie's a great figure. That's a good one.
Charlie came in. Yeah, that's. Gosh, I know there was something else that I got. Oh, I got the variant Stegosaurus from Dino Rivals. I know that's something we've known about this for a while. It was actually somebody on YouTube recently that said, "Hey, Victoria, I tried ordering one on Amazon the other day and I got the variant." So the variant has lighter gray colored plates that match more the underside of the belly, and it looks a lot better. So I decided to try placing an order. Sure enough, I got the variant, the updated version, and it does in fact look so much better. So
yeah, it matches better. You have pictures on your Instagram, right?
I do, and in my review for this thing in late 2018, I said about my Stegosaurus, I said, I like it, but
why doesn't it match?
If the plates match the belly, I think it would look better.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Mattel listened to me, but Mattel listened to me.
Yeah, I remember someone sending me a blurry picture like probably a year ago of like, look at these, are different, but I don't really ever like, not that I don't believe people when they send me stuff, but like when you send me a blurry picture where it's like in yellow light, I can't really appreciate the difference. So I think when you finally posted photos, I was like, oh wow, okay, that's definitely a variation that we're looking at here. So that's cool. I wish I could have tracked one of those down. They went out of stock, but if they go back into stock, I'm sure I'll buy one, because I agree it looks a lot better than the original. What are these? These are dual attack Dino Rivals Stegosaurus, that original release. So that's cool.
Yeah, it is. I also got the Camp Cretaceous / Primal Attack Epic Roaring T-Rex. That just came in this week from Target Online.
Yes.
And I know we're going to get to this in a little bit, but spoiler alert, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. And I think pretty much, a lot of people have been finding that and agreeing that, like, wow, this is awesome. Which is interesting because, like, we saw it at Toy Fair, and it was cool, right? It was like, oh yeah, new Rex, whatever. But something about it didn't really grab you over the photos, But then when you see it in person and you kind of get other angles at it, it's like, oh wow, this is awesome. I mean, I saw it in hand at Toy Fair and I was like, this is pretty cool. But again, like getting the actual figure, it's awesome. But yeah, let's just save it for later in the show.
Let's save it. Other than that, though, I've been, there's other stuff that's come in. Retro lines have been a huge thing on Cantina Chatter. We did a whole episode. Me and my collecting co-host Tom Charlton did a segment about, how retro has been such a huge thing in like the public consciousness in recent years, and with toy companies. And so a couple of things that have come out: the Star Wars Retro Collection Wave 2, focusing on The Empire Strikes Back, was released, Walmart exclusive. There's a whole thing that happened with that, with Walmart sending them in weird, in envelopes,
totally
folded
destroyed,
in half.
right? Yeah,
exactly. And I had to do a video talking about, hey, Walmart, this is not okay. So there's that. There's also the more recently the Ghostbusters that Hasbro has put out for their retro series. So these were more special to me because these were kind of the genesis of my whole like toy collecting life. Like these were the first toys that I was really exposed to as a kid. So they brought back some of their classic Kenner Ghostbusters in that classic packaging. There were still some issues with the way they were shipping some of them. And there were still some issues with packaging because there's like 3 variations of the packaging for these
languages
guys.
And what was it? Who You Gonna Call was like they didn't have the rights for that, but they already made packaging. So I love stuff like that. I mean, I know it kind of is a pain for people to track down, but I kind of like little behind the scenes flubs like that, where they have to like redo something or put a sticker over something because they messed up. So pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. So we have the 4 Ghostbusters, and we have the Green Ghost, aka Slimer, and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and they're epic.
Yeah, I love this retro stuff. Like you said, it's definitely like a thing. I think of like the Playmates Ninja Turtles was another toy line that did it right. I just wish, I don't know how it would happen just because of, toy companies and rights. I wish that we could get a Kenner kind of reissue Jurassic line, but obviously I don't know how that could happen with Mattel having the license now and being a totally different toy company than Hasbro, who bought Kenner and owned Kenner. So it's kind of too bad because this retro stuff is like perfect. I mean, it's like everything you remember about the toy. I mean, I know it's not 1-to-1 exactly the same, but it's just a cool idea, and obviously is super popular. I mean, this stuff sells out. Yeah.
If Hasbro still had the Jurassic line, and if they had treated the Jurassic line over the past few years the way Mattel has,
they could be rolling in dough right now.
I can guarantee you they would do a retro line for Jurassic.
Yeah, it would be awesome. Oh, missed opportunity. That'd be so great. But I there's been things that have been worked out across companies before where they've kind of realized, or compromised in a way that made a release happen. So I won't abandon all hope, but just most of it.
Right. So also I did a bit of a spring cleaning, Tim, this spring with my toys. I have so many toys. My collection's huge. I've been doing this all my life, basically. So, I kind of went through things and just decided to part with certain things. Not anything Jurassic, really. Just duplicates and extras. And I mean, anything that I did sell that was Jurassic was because I had extras or, just random things that I decided I didn't need. So I took some of that money that I got from selling that stuff, and I built up my Hot Toys collection a little bit. So,
put it right back into the collection. There you go.
Exactly. Not all of it, some of it.
Yeah.
Went back into the collection. So I invested in some Hot Toys pieces that I had kind of had on the back burner for a long time. So the thing with Hot Toys is, they come along every now and then, and usually they're on the market, depending on how popular they are, like, anywhere from a few months to, a couple years or whatever. But, so I went back and got a couple that were already off the market, but, some retailers overseas, like in Australia and in China, were still carrying them. So
nice.
I added the Force Awakens Kylo Ren, the Force Awakens Rey, the Resistance outfit. I got those too. Mm-hmm. And and I have a couple others that are on pre-order through Sideshow Collectibles. And one thing I just got to throw in here real quick. I mean, first of all, those figures are freaking incredible. Anyone that's collects Hot Toys or is even just seen them, like they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. But there's a weird thing going on right now with Star Wars on Sideshow. Like somehow or another, like Star Wars product is experiencing some kind of a surge in popularity.
Interesting.
And yeah, so we're seeing this across the board right now. It's 3 3/4, it's 6 inch, and it's with Hot Toys. So some of these figures, these Hot Toys, are selling out before the pre-orders are even fulfilled, which has never really happened before. And some of it, I believe, is due to production issues due to COVID-19. But at the same time, stuff that was already produced way before then and was in the process of making its way overseas and whatnot has just been selling out. So
Yeah.
it's really popular, and I think part of that's also the Mandalorian. A lot of people have latched onto that as like the latest, greatest Star Wars thing. So
I think collecting at large, really, whether it's Hot Toys, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's whatever, I think a lot of people with their downtime and their, I know a lot of us have, are maybe in a, somewhat different of a financial situation, but I mean, a lot of us aren't spending money on things that we normally would, so we have money to spend elsewhere too. So it's kind of different for everyone, but I just think collecting in general kind of seems to be heating up a little bit in this in this sort of new normal we're living in right now. I mean, certainly for me, I bought some things that I would never buy normally, so just because whatever, it felt right. So that makes sense. But I think sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and we talked about this, I think, a month or two ago, how, we noticed that Jurassic Park Kenner stuff was going up in price a lot. And
I do remember that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that has a lot to do with it. People aren't going on vacations. They're not going to the movies. So,
Yeah. And the flip side, which is kind of unfortunate, is people are needing money and unloading their collections, which kind of heats up the market too, because you get a lot more figures hitting the market, and then a lot of people are buying. It's all very fascinating and interesting, just to kind of see how that stuff plays out. But before we move away from Star Wars, though, we got to get back to your collection room and sort of the obsession that you've had the past couple of months with Baby Yoda.
I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
So, all right. So Baby Yoda has been the most popular thing to happen to Star Wars since, gosh, I don't know what.
Jake Lloyd? Right? I don't know.
Jake Lloyd.
I don't.
Jar Jar?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. I feel like what's happening with Baby Yoda is what they kind of hoped would happen with the Porgs. Like, they just thought the Porgs are going to be this big, like, thing that people were going to fall in love with. And it didn't quite happen that way. But, yeah, Baby Yoda is like the biggest thing since like Ben and Jerry's came out with their peanut butter half baked flavor.
Yeah, it's
incredible. He's incredible.
Yeah,
he was hugely popular, as you know, last year when The Mandalorian came out last November, and was a huge surprise. They kept it as a very well guarded secret, and I was pleasantly surprised seeing him in the show for the first time. And people were saying back then, where's the Baby Yoda product? Where can I buy Baby Yoda? My kid wants Baby Yoda for Christmas. And there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. They kept it such a big secret that not even the manufacturers had time to put anything into production. Mm-hmm. So...
And now everything is hitting. All these months later, it's like everything.
So they opened up pre-order shortly thereafter. And I think I had read that Disney had lost some $1 million, like, on lost sales because they didn't have Baby Yoda out last year, for the holidays.
Wow.
Yeah, no. So okay, the pre-orders that had gone out months ago are being fulfilled. Baby Yoda's hitting stores. There's quite a few Baby Yodas out there. I've recently I did a video, Battle of the Babies, on my YouTube channel, and we were talking about what's the best Baby Yoda, because there's so many. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even showcase all of them. I just showcased all the mainstream ones that are available from like Hasbro and Mattel, and
they just keep coming. I mean, like you said, you showcased the main ones, but I feel like there's even more figures like that or dolls that are coming too, like plushes and stuff. So it's kind of funny. And then you have all these, like, the Bop It, and like I think in our toy chat we saw the wireless speaker. I mean, there's just stuff every day. I mean, you bought the Funko Pop, like the big version of Baby Yoda. So there's just more and more stuff. We bought the
I forgot about that.
The Mattel version, that kind of like the plush. I that was the first one I saw and the first one I bought, and I really like it. It's kind of like a glorified beanbag with a really nicely sculpted head. But my kids love it. It's a fun toy. So. I definitely have a little bit of Baby Yoda fever myself.
That's awesome. Baby Yoda to me is like In and Out. There's nothing better than In and Out. There's nothing better than Baby Yoda. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about Baby Yoda. I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah.
All these products are great. And yeah, that life-size Funko Pop, I think it's life-size, it's huge, is epic. I haven't opened it or anything, but yeah, he's sitting on my dining room table in his box. And so we maintain a quote unquote secret collector chat, right, Tim? Like me, you, and quite a few other collectors and, people that we know, friends. And as soon as I saw it, I sent you guys a message. I'm like, oh my God, should I get it? Should I get it? And I was like, I don't even know why I asked, because I was obviously going to get it. But yeah, Baby Yoda. That's all I got to say. Baby Yoda.
Totally, yeah. And I know, like, kind of bringing it back to Jurassic, I think Blue, Baby Blue, like in Fallen Kingdom, there was some sort of opportunity there that they explored a little bit with some toys, but definitely doesn't hit the same as Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's on another level. So it's kind of fun to witness this sort of collecting frenzy going on. But yeah, it sounds like, our trophy rooms are filled with certainly a decent amount of Jurassic stuff since we last spoke on the show, and of course some other stuff too. I know, non-Jurassic, I collected a couple vintage collection figures, Mandalorian himself and a Stormtrooper or two, so still keeping busy. But I think the next time we talk on the show, we're going to have a lot more figures to talk about as far as Jurassic goes, with all this new stuff hitting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely think so.
So, taking a look around the Jurassic World, what do you think about going camping? Of course, I'm talking about Camp Cretaceous. We talked about it a lot in the show so far, but the show itself from Netflix still is supposedly slated for August release. So, the hype is building, even though we don't have a lot to be hyped about outside the toys. There's no trailer. There's no, articles in Entertainment Weekly. There's nothing. We don't really know anything about the show more than we did a year ago. But the toys have come out, and those toys have provided sort of a first real look at the show versus, some concept art and a teaser trailer. So if you get a couple of these toys like the Carnotaurus Toro or Bumpy, or even the Epic Roaring T-Rex, which we'll get to here in a bit, that packaging has some characters on it. It has Toro, the Carnotaur, which is obviously some sort of main character in the show for a dinosaur, but also has some human characters on it.
Yeah, I think Toro's going to be kind of like the dad from Dinosaurs, the 90s show.
Yeah.
He's going to be kind of like, he's going to give them advice and say, hey, kids,
yeah, that's totally going to happen.
Sorry, that's the mint julep talking a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's funny is, I do think there's a lot of controversy around these cartoon characters and the way they look. So you throwing gas on the fire with a talking Carnotaurus probably isn't going to help. But yeah, these characters look, to me, they look exactly like I thought they would be. So I don't understand why people get so upset about their design. But, that's just my opinion. Yeah,
no, the packaging design's really cool, like for product. I think that's one thing that Mattel has gotten progressively better at, is their packaging for Jurassic. And this just looks really cool. It kind of reminds me of the T-Rex paddock we see in Jurassic World. Like, it just has those tall, like redwood style trees.
Oh yeah. I guess, that besides the characters, the environment on there with the redwoods. And there's looks like there's a sort of a building built into the tree or something. Yeah, it's definitely cool and definitely intriguing, not having any idea what it is.
Yeah, but no, those... the character designs are fine. I don't know what anybody's really expecting. It's a cartoon, right? So
right. And I think we really need to see them in motion too. I know that there's some kind of artists on social media who've worked on the show who've kind of tried to smooth out and say, like, hey, I know the dinosaurs are very realistic looking, but it all kind of works together when you see it in action. So I definitely have faith that once we see everything kind of working in motion, and we're not just looking at a toy package, that stuff could be really cool looking. I think of like previous Jurassic Park and Jurassic World toys, and like if you were just judging the packaging on and saying like, well, I'm not gonna go see this movie, like you know what I mean? Yeah. Like the Hasbro Jurassic World packaging is like kind of interesting looking. So never judge a book by its cover, never judge a piece of media by its toy line, I guess. So or toy line packaging rather. So I think we should all just wait and see what the show looks like.
Or never judge a toy line by its movie.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it could work either way. You got all kinds of bad movies and great toys or great movies and bad toys. But I mean, I just kind of getting back to Camp Cretaceous itself. It's about the park being open, at least partly, and that's super exciting to me. So that's why I'm hyped about it.
Yeah, it'll be cool. We're experiencing another part of the whole Jurassic World, mythology that we haven't quite seen. I mean, obviously in Jurassic World, the park was open. We finally got to see what that was like, but we didn't really get too deep into, we knew they had several other attractions that were there. We knew they had like zip lining and they had like a Packy arena, right? And, but now they also have like this summer camp, which I don't know how that works because isn't it like a New Year's movie, sort of?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's not really summer camp if it happens in the middle of winter. Good point.
Yeah, so we'll find out. Maybe this will solidify some of that stuff for us. Maybe it's a winter camp. I don't know.
Did you ever read Evolution of Claire?
It's on the wish list, but I haven't.
What? You got to read that. That's a great book. Of course you would like it. It goes without saying. But it's interesting because there's sort of like in the book there's like a summer internship program that Claire's a part of when she's younger. It's very much almost like a Camp Cretaceous-esque premise, but it kind of goes through the back end of like the park and like dinosaur care and closures and all this really cool stuff. So if the show is more of that, then like I'm all in.
Yeah.
Read that book.
I will. I'm in the middle of reading the Harry Potter series. I got like 2 books left, and I haven't even seen the movies, but somehow or another I have some of the toys, so go figure.
Of course. All right. Similarly, around Jurassic World, there's some great film news. So Jurassic World Dominion, the third movie in the Jurassic World series, kind of had to, like everything else in the world, stop and hold on filming during coronavirus, but filming is set to resume here in early July.
Yeah, that's exciting news. A lot of everything basically got put on halt because of coronavirus and, everything really. And, obviously the film industry, as something that obviously wasn't essential, took a huge hit. So everything kind of got postponed. Luckily, Mandalorian season 2. Baby Yoda.
Yeah, made it out. Yeah,
finished filming. Principal photography before this all happened. But yeah, so no, this is the first like Hollywood like tentpole film.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about it. That's the other notable news around this is that it's one of the first movies that's going back into production. So
yeah, so resuming filming next month, July, and yeah, we're all really excited about that. Hopefully, it stays on track, and we get another Jurassic film, around this time next year.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little worried if they were going to delay it another year because a lot of these movies that have, had a setback have like just delayed a whole year, if not more. And so like, with Jurassic, we have this sort of like cadence with the toys, kind of covering the gaps between the movies with Dino Rivals and Primal Attack. And then we have Camp Cretaceous coming out. And it's like if they suddenly had to have a whole another year to sort of keep the momentum of the Jurassic brand alive, I feel like that we would have lost something there. So
sure.
I think it's good that it's still on schedule, and I hope that the movie hasn't had to have too many compromises to do that.
Yeah.
But what's even more exciting, I think, than picking up filming is this little bit of casting news that dropped this week. Perfect timing right around the SDCC Nedry Barbasol can figure is that they cast a classic character from Jurassic Park, none other than Lewis Dotson, who is, that I guess they didn't say it outright in the movie, but if you know Jurassic Park, he works for Biosyn, the rival company to Engine. And so, yeah, they cast him in this new Jurassic World movie. The actor's name is Campbell Scott, not someone I'm familiar with, but super exciting that we're getting confirmation of like another character coming back to Jurassic Park. That's a classic, not a classic character, but something from that first movie because we already have Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, Henry Wu, Ian Malcolm. Am I forgetting anybody? I mean, there's a million people that have been cast in this movie, but now we have Dotson. We got Dotson here.
Is it though, Tim? Because I don't know. I kind of feel like this is kind of dumb. Just for a second, I feel like this this movie, they're ramping it up to be some sort of a huge like
Infinity War
fan servicey type. Yeah, it's like fan servicey type thing where they're just going all out. And on some level, the old school Jurassic Park fan collector in me is excited about that. But at the same time, it's like, do we really need Dodgson to come back? He was in the movie for, I know he's in the book a lot more, but he was in the movie for 5 seconds.
Yeah,
he served his purpose and that was it. Do we really need to go back to Louis Dodgson like again and kind of revisit that whole thing and have him in a new capacity and a new role? I mean, I don't think so. But I'm happy for anybody that, is over the moon about this, but I sort of feel like it's just kind of unnecessary personally.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, any kind of Jurassic film news, I always kind of look at it through what kind of toys and merchandise am I going to get out of it. So I'm most excited. I mean, that's just the kind of fan I am of Jurassic as I sit here in this room completely buried by Jurassic Collectibles. That's just kind of how I am. And, obviously we all have different opinions about the movies themselves, especially the new ones. I love Jurassic World, the first movie, and Fallen Kingdom was certainly entertaining. And I just don't even know what to expect from this third movie. They've cast everyone under the sun. There's like, they've announced like at least 15 people like have been cast in this movie. And now we have another one, which is Louis Dodson. So it is kind of weird. But I guess my sort of bottom line takeaway is that like it's a further embracing the original first movie. So when it comes to collecting and toys and all that stuff, that gets me excited because, that's my first love is Jurassic Park. So any kind of callback they can do, just total rampant speculation, just no basis in fact whatsoever. Like I'm imagining like this, this line of toys that's like, spanning the entire series. So we get like this figure pack that has Alan Grant figure from Jurassic Park and an Alan Grant figure from Dominion. And it's like, look, they're different generations of Alan Grant. So like Louis Dodson would get a figure like that. So that again, that's just like me just wishing, but that would be so cool to do. And having a classic character kind of, to me, sort of inspires that kind of stuff, I hope.
Sure. Yeah, no, I hear you there. Anytime there's a callback to that original film, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, it's kind of like, what I tell people with Star Wars, because, there's a lot of opinions about like the newer Star Wars films. It's like I always say, I'm a Star Wars fan. I might like some of the films more than others, but I'm a Star Wars fan. I like all of it, really, at the end of the day. Same thing for Jurassic. So, I'm eager to see what they're going to do with it. I just feel like it's a little bit overboard. Like, there's just so many people that they've announced for this. And
I know. Maybe
when the film actually comes out, it'll all fit together perfectly and it'll all make sense. But it just seems like there's been so many cast announcements and, I know we've joked before, like, oh, who are they going to announce next for this movie from that original film? Just such minor players.
There is one more casting that I wish they would do, and I wish it was the Jungle Green Ford Explorer. I wish they'd go ahead and cast that for Jurassic World Dominion. I would be excited about that.
I was going to say something more along the lines of like that leaf that Ellie picked off, from the vine, or maybe even the bones of that cow that got fed to the raptors. But
there you go. Yeah, getting real deep there. Yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I'm obviously, as our podcast kind of continues this season, we're probably going to be talking a lot about Dominion in our Around the Jurassic World talks, because we'll be getting set photos and little leaks like that. We certainly won't go into spoiler territory, but we definitely want to keep talking about the film as it kind of goes into production, because that's always an exciting time to be a Jurassic fan.
Absolutely. It's a great time to be a Jurassic fan. There's so much coming out. In terms of the content, the game is still getting like updates, right? So there's that, there's the toys, obviously Mattel hasn't really taken much of a breather ever since 2018. There's been a little bit of a lull like in recent months, but stuff's ramping up, yet again. Yep. And we got the new movie coming, so plenty to be excited about. And then of course other stuff like these Nanmu, is that what it is? Toys, or not toys, but collectibles, and the Chronicle things, Kickstarters. So lots to be excited about. I'm stoked about it. I can't wait to see what happens. And good stuff is on the way.
right, everybody, we're closing the show on one of our favorite things. That is the Jurassic Clash, pitting dinosaur toys against each other, whether it's vintage versus modern, vintage versus vintage, modern versus modern. We cover it all here, and it's always super fun. It's probably my favorite thing to do when I'm nerding out about toys is compare them. And we have something super exciting, talked about it a little bit earlier on the show, and that is the epic roaring T-Rex that just released. I know you just got yours in the mail. I got mine a little bit ago too. And we love this toy, so let's go ahead and talk about T-Rexes.
Let's talk about T-Rex. So yes, yet again, as they have been doing on a regular basis, Mattel has released yet another 1/18 scale T-Rex toy. Meant to fit with the 3 3/4 inch figures. Tim, you and I previously have explored all the other T-Rexes that have come out. There's been quite a few. We've had the Extreme Chompin' T-Rex. That came out first in the Legacy Collection, followed by a battle damage version. So we've also had the Legacy Collection Bull T-Rex, if you want to call it that. It was kind of lightly based on the bull, but for all intents and purposes, I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
And then the repaint that came out most recently later last year. So there's that. There's the Thrash and Throw T-Rex, which, of course is was kind of like the bigger, T-Rex, like the mainline T-Rex.
First big feature T-Rex.
Exactly, for 2018. That was released alongside the Super Colossal T-Rex, which is it's kind of in its own class. You can't really, you could play with it with everything else, but it's kind of its own thing.
Right.
There's the Bite and Fight T-Rex that came out, I think it was late 2018, right? For Dino Rivals.
Yeah.
And then now we have the Epic Roarin' Tyrannosaurus Rex that is released as part of the Camp Cretaceous Primal Attack line.
Yeah. So Camp Cretaceous branding all over the package. So obviously T-Rex must be in the show. I wouldn't say that this one looks especially cartoony or something like that. So, but it is Camp Cretaceous. So that's kind of what we're going to call it, is the Camp Cretaceous Epic Roaring T-Rex. So yeah, it cracks me up that Mattel continues to come up with all these like little gimmicky names like Thrash and Throw, Bite and Fight, Epic Roaring, Extreme Chompin'. Like it's so much. And if you're like a mega fan like you and I, it's like we have all this stuff memorized too, which is even funnier that we're taking up parts of our brain for all of these hilarious dinosaur feature names. But Epic Roaring T-Rex. Let's go ahead and sort of run it through the gamut of all the things we talk about here on Jurassic Clash. I think we got to start with sculpt, because I think that's where Epic Roaring Rex really sort of shines.
Yes, absolutely. So, from the get-go, I think Mattel's done a marvelous job with their T-Rexes in terms of the proportions, in terms of the sculpts, to varying extents. The Extreme Chompin' has big feet. The Thrash and Throw has a huge head. And then, there's some weird neck things going on with the Bite and Fight. Because they all have different features. So the Epic Roarin', I think, has the most natural silhouette, I would say. In terms of like the actual like proportions, like head to torso to legs and tail. Like, I feel like this is the first time they've gotten something to look the most natural, I guess I want to say. Yeah,
I think you're like you said, the proportions, like the feet size feels right. And one of the things that we see a lot with the toy carnivores and the toy T-Rexes is sort of this weird sort of transition from the torso to the neck to the head. There's always something that gets kind of weird there, where like the neck's too long, or it's the head's too like pushed up. Like there's always kind of little tiny things, nitpicky things for great looking toys. But when we're really kind of comparing apples to apples with T-Rexes, it's like there is some things that just don't get it quite right. So I would totally agree. The Epic Roaring Rex just kind of, as a silhouette, as just a solid silhouette, gets it right.
Yeah, it does. And it's got a very beefy torso. So that's one of the things that I noticed right away, is that, it doesn't have a skinny little, kind of like the Extreme Chompin'. It looks good, but the torso does look a little bit, it's a little skinny.
Yeah.
This one's beefy. Like, it's got a good sized torso. And it's got a good sized head. I was a little worried that the head was going to be like oversized, and maybe it is slightly oversized, but it's not like the Thrash and Throw. Like, that is like noticeably like a huge head.
Yeah. I think the term beefy is like perfect for this figure. That's the first thing I noticed when I picked it up in the store, was like, this torso is huge. And then when you sit it next to the Thrash and Throw, it's like, someone feed this T-Rex. This Thrash and Throw T-Rex is like barely getting by. Like it hasn't captured a triceratops to eat in like months because it's so skinny. I mean, when you get it in the first place, like, you know, years ago when we got it, it looked great, which is a testament to Mattel just always improving. It's like that figure looked great when it came out. Now in hindsight, next to the Epic Roarin', like, wow, this Epic Roarin', now this is a Jurassic T-Rex.
Yeah, it is. Not only that, Tim, but the actual texture that has been applied to the body is, you know, just as impressive. It's like so detailed. Like everything, though, it's not, they didn't skimp. Like on some dinosaurs, some of these Mattel toys, you look at some things like the legs and then maybe look more detailed than like the torso or vice versa or whatever. But this thing, from like snout to the tip of the tail, from like shoulders to the like to its feet, like it's highly detailed, highly textured in terms of all the sculpting, and that makes it look a lot more realistic.
Yeah, I think that's remarkable too, because, you know, all these toys are created digitally, like in you know, ZBrush and other programs, and they often, you know, when you're talking about budgets, like they sort of just repurpose certain things for certain toys. Like I would say that even like the Thrash and Throw and the Epic Roaring T-Rex are very similar. They probably use the same basic assets digitally to kind of create those toys. But the Epic Roaring Rex is like from the ground up a new figure. It's not like oh, they just took the, you know, the Bite and Fight and just like added some more wrinkles. Like no, it's completely different. Every single part of it, like from the fingers to the nostrils, or it's been redetailed all over. And I don't know, I mean, we talk a lot about toys in the show, but I'm not super familiar with like the production process, but they've obviously figured something out with Epic Roaring where they can capture a lot more detail in sort of the casting process, because there's just a lot more detail here.
Absolutely. And you know what I keep noticing is the scars that she has on the side of her head. Like they're really pronounced. Like, you know, you look at it and it's like, oh wow, this thing has scars on it. And even on the torso, it's got scars. And they did a really good job with that. I mean, the whole snout, the whole head, has some fantastic, like the striations and, you know, the little like texturing and pebbling and everything is just really, you know, it's really enhanced. It has like a huge like level of detail.
Right, and I think the head itself is what really sells this figure sculpt wise. Going back a little bit to the proportions, like that bigger jaw makes it feel more Jurassic. But yeah, again, like detail too, it's all there, and the head is just, it really sells it. Like those eye ridges on the figure are just, there's so much little detail there. So if you can't tell by now, we're in the first category of Jurassic Clash, and we can't stop gushing over the Epic Roaring Rex. It's definitely a winner here for sculpt. I think we can all agree that it is a major improvement over the mini Rexes we already have.
Yeah, I even look over, Tim, you know, at the Super Colossal, and as much as I like that, it's not as detailed as this one.
Yeah, again, and it feels like the skinnier, like starving version of the T-Rex compared to the Epic Roarin's sort of huskier bulk, which it just makes it feel, again, more like a Jurassic T-Rex having a little bit of that bulk. Yeah,
it's definitely more imposing. I mean, you look at it side by side with some of these other Rexes, and you know, it's definitely more imposing. It looks meaner. It looks more like a Jurassic Park T-Rex, and that's what I love about it.
Totally. Let's move on to paint. I think this one might be a little bit more, a little bit more of a debate, at least for me. The Epic Roaring T-Rex has a new paint job, right? It's not something that's been done before. I know the first few T-Rexes from Mattel, the Thrash and Throw, the Extreme Chompin', they all had the same, and the Super Colossal all had sort of the same brown basic paint job. And this is sort of kind of a return to that with a little bit more detail.
Yes. Yeah, this is a little bit different than the others, like you said. So I think the first iterations of the T-Rex were probably the most lackluster. I know a lot of people were disappointed with, like, you know, how light the lower jaw is. It's like kind of like, you know, really light color compared to the rest of the body. Yeah. Which makes it look more like a toy. And all of their Rexes at the beginning of the line had that. They all looked like that. We saw that change with the Bite and Fight. They went really dark, even darker than she was in the film, but it seemed like they were kind of trying to get closer to like Jurassic World, maybe Jurassic Park. Yeah. Suddenly the jaw wasn't quite as, there wasn't quite that contrast between the upper and lower jaws. And, we've talked a lot about the Biden fight and how awesome, the head paint is on that one. This seems to be kind of like a middle ground to me between the two. But it feels like it has like the stripes on the top of the body that are similar to the Biden fight, like the colors.
There's like more layers, I guess, than like the previous Rexes, but yeah, there's definitely more layers and more shades of brown, I guess. So, it's definitely an improvement over like the thrash and throw.
Yeah, and what I really like about the colors on this one is with the lower and upper jaws. Like this one has the least amount of contrast between the two. It looks the most like uniform.
Right.
And in the film, Rexy does have a little bit of lighter color as you get lower on the jaw. And you kind of see that here too to some extent.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of nice paint detail on the head and on the rest of the body.
I'll be honest, I did not realize that these like lower jaws were a completely different cast color on these other Rexes until someone pointed it out with the release of this new one, that like, oh wow, they made the bottom jaw the same color as, and now that I see it, I can't unsee it. It's like, oh wow, these other Rexes have like straight up different color bottom jaws. So definitely, like you said, the Bite and Fight fixed that, but this is even more of a natural blend. So
yeah,
super nice. The eye paint, I think that's probably my nitpicky thing. It's a little cartoony. The eyes are obviously a little bigger than the other Rexes, and it's got one little black dot for the iris. But that's pretty nitpicky. I'm not going to go and compare all the eyeballs for all the Rexes necessarily when you're kind of looking at the whole package as far as paint goes. But it does kind of give it a little bit of a cartoony feel, the eyes.
Huh. I don't know if I see that personally. Just looking at it, the yellow color is darker than it was on those other Rexes. I think Rexy actually, she did have kind of like a dark, like gold tan, like color. So, none of them are really accurate.
Yeah.
But this, I think it looks pretty good. And I don't know about yours, but the paint on mine is like the pupils on mine are like facing more forward than on those other Rexes.
Yeah, mine's like that too. Totally. Yeah. Which I think gives it a little bit more of a glare, I guess, is the right term for it, versus sort of just blandly staring out. But yeah, that's kind of a nice touch. I gotta say though, I still love the Bite and Fight paint. That's still my favorite coloration of a Mattel Rex personally.
Yeah, it's tough. There's pros and cons to all of these, but what kind of pushes this one a little bit over the edge for me is the teeth.
Oh yes,
we got to talk about the teeth.
Yeah.
So this time, what they did is, rather than painting the teeth, it seems like they actually cast them in this sort of off-white color. Is that your observation?
Yes. That was like one of the first things when I was like, giving my obsessive look over in the store for like paint defects and stuff. I was looking at the teeth and I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder these teeth are perfect. They're not painted. So many Mattel figures have painted teeth, which results in rubbing in the box and paint splash and all this stuff that kind of can detract from the look of the figure. But these are cast plastic teeth, so you can bite other toys, you can rub on them, you can do whatever you want. They're going to be the same color because they're actually that color plastic, which is just so huge, such a huge improvement. Wow, yeah, that kind of tips the scales a little bit for me.
Yeah, no, it's so what I like to look at in terms of paint is, what is the most film accurate? Now, when you pull up Rexy, like from Jurassic Park, for example, she looks a little bit different from scene to scene, and part of that is lighting. Part of that is that they jump back and forth between animatronic and CG model. And part of that is just it is also that the colors are just a little different, like here and there. In Jurassic World, she looks different yet again. The one that I tried to when I did my repaint of my Extreme Chomp and T-Rex, I tried to get it as film accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Mine actually looks the most like this Epic Roaring T-Rex. So that's kind of cueing me into this being the most accurate in terms of the color.
A little bit biased, but no, I'm just kidding. It looks the most like my repaint, so I like it. No, but I get what you're saying, especially when you kind of look at the whole spectrum of kind of what Rex looks like on screen. This one definitely sort of operates on average sort of matching back in a better way than most of the other Rexes. I still gotta stand my ground though and say that I really like the bite and fight coloration. There's something about that darker color around the eye that really kind of sells the Jurassic Rex for me. Obviously, I think Epic Roarin' is a beautiful figure and with beautiful paint, but I feel like it could benefit from some of that contrast and some of those darker colorations from the bite and fight. So I'd really like to call this category a little bit of a draw between the bite and fight, because that is just such a great paint job.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that, and that I would agree with. It could use a little bit of darker coloring around the eyes, which would make it even more accurate.
Yeah.
So the bite and fight really had that nailed down, and yeah, that's the one thing that I could really critique this one on in terms of paint, is that it doesn't quite have that.
Yeah.
So.
But like, so many points for doing that sculpting of the teeth. I mean, that is just huge, and hopefully kind of a sign for things to come with Mattel figures in general. I would love for these bigger, a little bit more expensive releases to get that separate plastic teeth versus painted teeth, where all kinds of things can kind of get messed up. So
yeah,
and
they look great too. They're not like, I think we call them like block teeth, right? Where they all look like they fit into one tooth to the other. These ones are like, these look great, and they actually look sharper, like pointier. So
yeah, no, they did a great job with the teeth, and
they did.
And that's a big part of the T-Rex is the teeth kind of sticking out over the overbite where the teeth go over the underjaw. I think it looks great. It looks just so Jurassic. They nailed it. Moving on to articulation, the Epic Roarin' T-Rex definitely has a little bit of articulation, but we definitely will talk about the action feature next. But as far as articulation goes, what do we got? We got the legs that can move, and we got the arms that can move, right?
Yeah, so that's basically it. The ankles can be swiveled around. It does have a posable, jaw and tail and neck, but that's all integrated into the action feature.
Right, yeah, that's all tied in, so you can't open the jaw up for a toy photo without putting a toothpick in there or something. You can't tilt the head to one side. Like, that's all something that's going to be restricted by the action features. So
yes.
Articulation wise, I mean, this thing was pretty much got the bare minimum as far as that goes. I do appreciate that the two legs can be articulated separately from another. I know some of these figures with action features, like the legs are connected and they have to be sort of posed in the same angle at the same time. But here you can put 1 foot back and 1 foot forward for like a running pose. So that's worth noting. But I think articulation wise for Rexes, until they come up with something better, we're always going to give it to that Extreme Chompin' T-Rex. I mean, it just has great articulation.
It does, yeah, definitely.
And I know that we've done this sort of battle of the Rexes before, and that figure is just, besides the scale of it, it's a little bit too small. That I'm really struggling here with my Extreme Chompin' and Epic Roarin'. That Extreme Chompin' figure just has it down with articulation, because it's got those multiple neck hinges that you can swivel the head around. It's just so cool, and that's definitely missed here on this excellent looking Epic Roaring Rex.
Yeah, that's one thing I would like to eventually see, is like a collector level T-Rex, without the action features, without any of that, just straight up a fantastic sculpt, like this Rex.
Yeah.
With film accurate paint and just loaded with articulation. That would be like the dream, like T-Rex for me.
I mean, they could still throw like an electronic roar button, or something like that, just to give it some play value for kids. But like, I don't think we always need some sort of, thrashing mechanism, chomping thing. Like, I mean, I know kids love that stuff. I know as a kid, I was perfectly happy with my Red Rex. It did basically nothing, but I get why they do that. But like you said, it'd be nice to get a figure just like this, but without those gimmicks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and give articulation over to that original record holder for that, which would be the Extreme Chompin' Rex.
Yep.
Action feature wise, I'm anxious to see what you think of the Epic Roarin' T-Rex. We saw it at Toy Fair, and I think people were like, "Oh, that's interesting." And now that you kind of have the figure in your hands and you're able to do it, I mean, what do you think?
Well, I will say that I think posability is the main thing for the Extreme Chompin', right? Like being able to open the mouth, that. But I'm not a fan of the thrash and throws action feature so much because I feel like half the time it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you have to be really forceful with it, and it feels like you're going to break
Exactly.
it.
I think we say this every time we talk about it. It's like we feel like we're going to break this figure trying to get it to do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, and then the bite and fight, I do like.
Yeah.
I do like it, but I feel like I don't really like pressing those buttons. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and it kind of like the bite and fight, the action you're doing, you know, I mean, this is getting really deep and nerdy, but like it's such a very specific kind of like T-Rex bite. It's like your T-Rex wouldn't be doing this like weird side head bite all the time. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
it's sort of strange versus just like a jaw clamping shut or just like a lunge. It's a very strange action feature. It's got a lot of motion, but it is kind of weird. So I mean, I think the Epic Roaring Rex is like, it's a blast. I mean, especially thinking of it through the eyes of like a kid, that sort of head shaking roar. You see the movie or any of the movies really, when the T-Rex has this like deafening roar. It's hard to capture that in a toy. And even though the shaking is a little bit, you know, over the top, I think that's what it needs to get that roar across, is sort of that over the top part of it.
Yeah, I mean, check it.
Yeah, I can hear it rattling over the microphone, which is cool. I mean, it's awesome. It's like, it's kind of funny at Toy Fair. They had a T-Rex in like the Universal area, and they had the same figure in the Mattel area. And the one in the Mattel area was like, I don't know if the batteries were dying or something, but it's like shake was slower and it totally didn't look as cool. But now that we have the toy in our hands and we can see how the shake really works, like it's perfect. I think if it was too fast, it would be weird. It would look like one of those like electronic puppies at KB Toys or something. Like, but this one, it's the right sort of pace, the way it shakes its head back and forth.
It is. I really like it a lot. I mean, my husband was cracking up at that action feature. I mean, it does kind of look like it's having a seizure or something else, but it's fun. It's different. It's a little trippy, but yeah, it's definitely got that fun factor there, and like the tongue's like real feel like skin.
Yeah, that's cool. The tongue is awesome too. I was kind of debating on where we should talk about that in these categories. But yeah, the tongue is rubber, which is super fun. And what's nice about the roar feature, which I think is worth noting, is that the neutral pose for the toy is mouth shut, which is nice. The bite and fight, for all of its greatness, its neutral pose is mouth open, which is kind of goofy looking. But it's nice here. And I think if you're going to have an action feature for a T-Rex toy, the bare minimum, you need to have the jaws chomping, you know, open and close, which is what's happening here with the action feature. But we also get that really cool prolonged roar. So I think it's fun. It's, you know, if they're going to do a new Rex, you know, after all the Rexes we have, like, I think they did something unique and kind of earned it.
Yes, they did. And it also has, you know, the puppeteering style, you know, feature where you can move the tail back and forth and make it look side to side. And
right. Yeah, of course.
Twist its head. So that's something that I've always liked. They first did that on, you know, one of the Indominus Rex, the Grab and Ground Indominus Rex. And I thought that was really cool. You know, we've since seen that on, you know, the Carnotaurus, the more recent one that's come
all
out.
the Primal Attack, you know, have a...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think the massive biters kind of have a phoned-in version of it. Like,
right.
But the Sound Strikes, and you said the Carnotaurus and the Indominus before it really was called Primal Attack, but it's basically the same thing. I always say in my reviews, like, it feels very fluid and natural, this sort of, like, puppeteering that you can do with the tail and the head and the neck. And this T-Rex is like, it's perfect. It's hard to explain, you know, when we're talking about it, but you know, you can really deliberately move the head back and forth and up and down in a really cool way without even messing with the kind of cheesy shaking roar. It's cool. It's really nice. It's definitely a huge plus for this figure.
Yeah, no, it is. I really like the way they did that here, and to me, you know, it gives more life to the toy. You know, if you're just moving the tail back and forth, you know, you can tease your dog with it, you can make videos with it. You know, it just gives it a little bit more life. And
yeah,
you know, it's a dinosaur. That's what we want to see.
Yeah, and I've seen a few people make some videos too with just like, you know, kind of like a little motion video of it knocking a guy down or biting something with that Primal Attack action. So that's what it's for, and I think it's just a huge plus.
It is. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the action feature on this. It's a little over the top, like you said, but at the end of the day, It's fun, and we want these toys to be fun, and I think it's more interesting than we've seen on these other figures so far.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. Paired with Primal Attack, I think this one's an easy winner for action feature, beating out all the other Rexes. I noticed that we haven't been talking too much about Super Colossal in this category, but again, that figure has no action features. It's basically just posable. So we're definitely going to give the win here to Epic Roarin'.
Awesome.
But heading over into Fun Factor, which is a little bit more of a vague category, but kind of looking at the figure overall in terms of just how fun it is. What do you say about the Epic Roarin' Rex?
Man, when I think about Fun Factor, I think about the whole package. I think about how good it looks.
Mm-hmm.
I think about, that paint. I think about the articulation, like what kind of poses can I get it in? And I think about, what does the action feature do? So this category kind of ties everything together. And I know that when we talked about sculpt, we said, yeah, this is definitely, the best in terms of sculpt. Paint, I like it. I know you like Bite and Fight, but it still looks, even if we prefer Bite and Fight overall, I mean, it's still going to beat out all those other, earlier T-Rexes that were made. Action feature, I know we talked about how great the action feature is. For me, it's kind of, well, I don't know. Let me let you go first.
Yeah, I think you have all. I totally agree with all those things, but I think there's other special stuff about this Rex, like the rubber tongue and those teeth that you can mercilessly bite other figures with and not worry about them scratching. That really kind of contribute to the fun factor, and that for me, it's I don't have to stress about it. That's nice, not having to worry about the teeth getting scratched. That's a fun part of it to me. But yeah, there's just a lot of just little tiny details that really all kind of work together to make this figure more fun for me, whether it's the more beefy proportions or the finer details in the sculpt paired with that rubber tongue and those teeth. I mean, it's just, I love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, we do got to look at, those more subtle details, those little things that help to tie it together. I mean, a lot of the, like they say, the devil's in the details, and things like the tongue, things like the teeth, they just really help, solidify, how solid of a product this is overall.
Exactly. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Love was put into every little part of this figure, whether it was the wrinkles around the eyes or the way the teeth looked. I think that just kind of shows that this is the superior T-Rex in this category. And really, if you look at our scores overall in this Jurassic Clash, we have the sculpt winning out to the new Epic Roarin' Rex. We have a tie for paint with Epic Roarin' and the Bite and Fight. Articulation, we did give to Extreme Chompin', like we probably always will until there's a new articulated Rex. But then action feature and fun factor both go to Epic Roarin'. So it kind of won every category more or less, if not tied, making the Epic Roaring Rex sort of our new champion T-Rex from Mattel.
It's our new champion T-Rex. Mattel has in many ways gone progressively better with these, and 2021, new Jurassic film, I hope that we see an updated Super Colossal maybe utilizes this sculpt, because I think that'd be pretty cool.
I would love that. I would love a kind of a new take on Super Colossal with all of this detail and these proportions. Mattel sort of set expectations with this new figure and how great it looks. So that's kind of what we're expecting going forward from their T-Rexes.
Yeah, I love it. I'm super happy to have it. I can't see how anybody that hasn't been collecting these T-Rexes already wouldn't enjoy this.
Right.
So,
yeah, trade it in, trade your old one in and get this one. And what's even better about this is that this is going to be a wide release. So I think this is probably one of those SKUs that'll literally hit every country possible. It's not going to be something that's hard to find, just because it's one of the key releases in this year for Mattel later in the year. So super exciting that everyone who wants one can get their hands on it, because it's our new Queen T-Rex for the Battle of the Rexes.
Our new reigning champion for the Battle of the Rexes, our Queen Epic Roarin' Tyrannosaurus Rex. Thank you for listening. I'm Victoria.
And I'm Tim. And for even more Jurassic collecting info, please check us out online. You can visit our official website, collectjurassic.com. And we're also on social media at collectjurassic on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Also be sure to check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/collectjurassic.
And you can find me by visiting the Victoria's Cantina YouTube channel. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Victoria's Cantina, and on Twitter at Vic's Cantina. You can also find the Cantina Chatter podcast as well as the Discoveryland show wherever you listen to podcasts.
And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, please make sure to leave us a 5-star rating and an excellent review. Those are the park rules.
You can also get in touch with us by sending a message to the Fax Machine. That's collectjurassic@gmail.com.
So thank you for visiting, and we hope you've enjoyed your trip to the park.
Ladies and gentlemen, the park is closed. Please make your way towards the East Dock. We hope you'll book a return visit for another adventure into Collect Jurassic World.